I mean, you know, no. If with government funding, and I'm sure a lot of American funding, real economic improvements, you know, and more things like digging wells and health services, and the military will behave like uh, uh, social workers in the Philippines, then that would be a military victory. And it's like kind of peacetime military use. And from the military viewpoint, they're winning.
The communists are powerful in these shaded regions, and Luzon to the east coast. They're also in central Philippines, in Mindanao to the east, and in the Muslim area.
Given the present government's idea of encouraging multi-party systems, encouraging groups to surface and to, you know, bring their ideas openly. The communists might also want to project their platform and sell it to the Filipino people.
Obviously, the radical left in the Philippines has decided to do what the communist parties in Europe have done, to fight it out legally and try to win elections in cities and various places as legal. But I don't know if the Communist Party will be legalized. But whether it is legalized or not, then they can still function through this Partido ng Bayan, this thing that Olalia headed.
After the ceasefire, I think one of the things that they will have to really sit down is to look for a sort of a modus vivendi. You know, how they can coexist with one another without necessarily harming the Filipino masses or each other. And this is one possibility that I said a while ago, that they may be able to surface as a political party, bring up their platform of government, and let the people decide.
It will not be until next February when the Filipino people will decide whether they want Aquino to continue as president. But after the ceasefire, her next step is to name a new cabinet. Last weekend, she demanded the resignation of all 25 members of her old cabinet. In an announcement today, Aquino has succeeded in keeping a cabinet of different views, much to her liking. And for some, a pluralistic cabinet will decide the fate of the Philippines in the next few months.
Many of the left-wingers are left-wingers because they see legitimate grievances. And so a lot of detention is actually diffused by rallies and demonstrations and things like that. But at the same time, the cabinet members in charge of economic performance, people in the central bank, people in the trade and commerce department, are given all the help and power they need to keep the economy going. I think, look at Japan. Of course, in the case of Japan, the cabinet is one ideology. But because of their system of consultation, even the Communist Party of Japan is allowed a voice in their higher circles of consultations.
I think the presence of the so-called left-wingers, I would rather call them, really, I prefer to call them nationalists, you know, because they have espoused nationalist sentiments, you know. These would be people who are also trying to see the people's point of view, being in close contact with the masses, being victims themselves of the harassments of the Marcos regime. So they have somehow, you know, they have a relationship with the basic masses. Once you start appointing people who are so close, who are far from the people, you know, you will have, I'm wary of that, because then we will have a cabinet that does not truly speak for and on behalf of the people.
Of late, my circumspection has been viewed as weakness, and my sincere attempts at reconciliation as indecision. This cannot continue.
Widow of assassinated former opposition leader Benigno Aquino, the president has proven that apart from being seen as a sincere head of state, devout Christian, and shy housewife, she can also be a headstrong politician. She has survived her first 9 months in office, coming out much stronger and tactful than most people would have thought. She could well be the best winner in the latest showdown of force.
In a sense, she is also buying time for herself, how to deal with the military. And I think she has been quite successful in her moves for the past 9 months. So given the advices that she gets and her own reading of the times, one thing, she's not a politician. She's very sincere. You know, she can have her own mind. And she might be able to explore again ways and means.
She's gaining time. Time is on Mrs. Aquino's side as well, but she's gaining more time with the ceasefire. The woman is, she's constantly amazing us, you know, pleasantly surprising us in every move she does. Because her background is, I mean, she has no credentials. But to be able to last these 9 months in a very crucial point of our history is something. And I think I have my suspicion that part of this whole scenario, what happened in the last 2 months, was one of the psychological warfare waged by Enrile Camp to break her. She has not been broken. She came out still smiling, although at times a little bit, you know, tensed. But she has added feathers and feathers to her cap, as the saying goes.
And coming up next, great music in Mile 7 Friday Solid Gold.